I feel like any white guy, once they hit their mid-20s, they have to be all about like hoppy.
Oh, clearly.
It's just like, oh, I'm just all about IPA. So
Why do you think I
admittedly,
started this podcast?
Exactly.
Welcome back to the Beer Couch Podcast. My name is Cale Manning, and joining us today is LA's sexiest editor. It is
Adam.
last name
Hendricks.
Hendricks. All right. Adam and I are just a couple editor boys living in the LA area. We're joined by the wonderful Yumi. And yeah, I mean, Adam, you and we've worked on a couple projects now together, I think. Or only the one?
Yeah, I think
or
just the music video.
we've just known each other
We know each other for a bit.
for a little while.
Yeah,
we both. So I met you through the people who I was living with back, like when I first moved to LA. How did you meet those fools?
It's funny, like they all went to the same university as me.
Yeah,
and
you're a Columbia kid as well.
I'm a Columbia kid as well, and I didn't really know any of them in college. I knew Lava a bit because we worked on a practicum together.
Yeah.
But
one?
we this was Sonata.
I feel like I've heard the name of that one.
Yeah,
or heard teachers or like other students talking about it.
talking horrible things about it, probably.
Is that a rough one?
No, it was actually a lot of fun, but I feel bad because actually Morgan and I think Veronica were working on one of the practicums that year, but I chose to work on this one instead of
Dead
theirs.
Man's Hand?
Yeah, that one.
I remember that when they were filming those, I was like just coming up in my Columbia time, and so I was still I think I was like a grip or like a Cam AC on like one of them, so very, very early times in the
I always felt bad
film
because
career.
that looked like such a fun film to work on, and Morgan and Veronica are so fun, and I'm sure collaborating with them would have been awesome, but I worked on Sonata, and Lava was line producer on that, so that was like my only kind of connection with any of like our mutual friends.
Yeah.
It wasn't until after I moved out here that I started to actually like get to know them and hang out with them.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, obviously, we're editor boys and stuff like that, but with, like, are you, like, working on any, like, cool projects and stuff like that right now?
Right now, I'm just working on a lot of non-scripted stuff, documentaries, because the industry, is really weird. Obviously, I'm sure all of you guys have talked about.
Yeah.
And the post industry is kind of recovering in a weird way where there's a lot of unscripted stuff happening, but there's not that much scripted, or not as much as there used to be.
Yeah.
So I used to work a lot of scripted, but now I'm just working on documentaries and like short form music video projects.
Nice.
And so yeah, that's been fun, but I really want to get back into scripted projects, but it's probably not going to be happening until next year. Literally every person I've met this year where I'm just like, hey, when do you think things are going to pick back up? In January, they'll say probably around February. February, they'll say probably around March. March, they'll say probably around May. And
it does have me concerned.
Yeah, it's like no one really knows when it's actually going to pick back up. But I met the assistant editor from Twisters.
Oh, cool.
That movie, and she was like, the word is just survive till 25. Oh my God. So whatever you're doing, just hang in there till 2025. God. But I feel lucky in that
2025 with Project 2025, and then it's gonna fix the film industry, right?
And everything's gonna be back to AI is gonna be solved.
There we go. War, conflicts, those will end for sure.
Do one day, Israel's just gonna wake up and just like, actually, you know what?
I'm good.
I've
had enough.
Exactly.
But this is Beer Couch. And
we're solving all the conflicts.
We're solving global conflict, and we're gonna solve it from this couch.
Yes.
But if we're gonna solve it from the couch, we have to have a beer.
We should.
And so we are gonna talk about today's. We got Einstok Beer.
Fucking nailed it.
It's perfect. This is a brewery from Iceland. They were established from two dudes who are from actually Southern California. So
it could be us.
It could be us. Who knows? Maybe we'll travel to Iceland. Because apparently they're like 60 miles from the Arctic Circle, I think. Something like that. I don't know. Check their website. That's what I do.
I don't know. You guys fucking look it up.
They're a fun brand, and they got some good pale ale brews. So cheers.
Cheers, dude.
Let's see how this is. Do you want a little sip?
I like that gulp ASMR, you freaks.
Oh, of course. We get them. Every week we're good with the ASMRs. You got a good crispy one?
Oh, that's very crispy one. That's pretty good.
Right?
I like that.
No, I remember, because obviously all of our beer is purchased from the one and only Circus Liquor in North Hollywood. I remember it was one of the first like beers where I like walked into their like craft beer section there, and I was like, what's this? And I like looked at it, and it has like the it's got like a little Viking logo on it, or a little Viking guy. I remember I took a peek at it, and I was like, that looks cool.
It's a pretty cool logo.
And so
triple hopped, and I love really hoppy beers.
Yeah.
I feel like any white guy, once they hit their mid-20s, they have to be all about like hoppy.
Oh, clearly.
It's just like, I'm just all about IPA. So
why do you think I started this podcast?
Exactly. So admittedly, this is really up my alley. I hate really light beers. I just taste so watery.
I feel like if you're gonna you're making something that's supposed to have flavor, so you want to be able to like taste the beer.
Exactly.
And I mean, especially like we've had some like a couple of like really, really good hoppy ones. I know one of the ones that Darsh brought on, actually, it was from India, and I think they like imported their hops from like German. It was like crazy supply chain stuff to make it happen, but that one was really good. So we've definitely had quite a few hoppy beers on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm loving this. I'm been trying to get a lot better at just like vernacular, like just understanding or articulation of different alcohols. But I think of all the ones I've tried, I'm definitely nailing into like cider and beer. Because I used to be really all about liquor, but like I said before, I used to work at a brewery.
Yeah.
And so when you're around a lot of people where that's their living, that's their culture.
Yeah.
You try a lot of different alcohols, and you just get like a sixth sense about different, like what you can do with variety with different drinks and whatnot. And it seems like there's just more fun stuff you can do with beer and cider, in my opinion, than we can do with liquor.
What did you do at the brewery?
I did social media marketing for them and like graphic design editing and stuff. But through that, like I would hang out with the team there that would like make a lot of the cider and the beer, because they're cider based beer. So maybe I'm biased because that's what they were.
Yeah.
But whenever we would try liquor, it just, the way they talked about it, one of my favorite things the owner said is, all vodka is cheap vodka. Some people just like to pay more for it than others, and that's why there's expensive vodka. And maybe I just don't have the right palate, but that rings really true.
I get it.
Because,
I mean, for me personally, I know vodka is one of those things where it's like I do get a little picky about it. Like I'll drink the cheaper stuff, but admittedly, I don't know if it's me gaslighting myself, but I think I can taste the distinction between like, if you go with like a Grey Goose versus like a Svedka or something like that. Dude, for me, because it just, the way it goes down a little bit smoother, it doesn't have that like sharp kind of kick of an aftertaste to it. And these are just things I've picked up on. Maybe
I just need to fit in with the right crowd.
Maybe you just need more vodka.
Maybe I need more vodka, because my biggest vodka experiences were Svedka in Colombia. Just going down to 7-Eleven and just picking up, what's the fruitiest Svedka we can get? That's my night.
Oh God. Yeah. They were. I was at a party with some friends the other night, and they whipped out the Fireball, and I was like, oof. What are we doing?
What are you, 17?
What year is it? It's so weird. But so the brewery that you worked at, you were doing like social media stuff. Where was it? Was it back home? Was it out here?
This was in Michigan for this place called Virtue Cider. If you're ever in Michigan, like in the Holland, Saugatuck, like close to Grand Rapids area, there's this great cider place there, and it's one of the best places in the world. It's like my favorite place, and luckily my family is all kind of starting to move into that area, so now it's like whenever I go, that's like my favorite place to go.
Are you from Michigan originally?
I am not. I was born in Cincinnati, Ohio, but I was raised in Chicago. Cool. But a lot of my family's kind of moving into that area. It's just, I don't know, we're all kind of like city people, so we all kind of grew up in just Chicago and Cincinnati, Ohio, and so I think my family, that is their close to retirement, they want to live somewhere smaller, and it seemed like the place to be right now is in that small Michigan area.
No, I mean, it's beautiful. And the lakes there are just like,
it's so beautiful, and there's a lot of, for whatever reason, there's huge beer and food culture in that little area. Like there's a lot of Michelin star restaurants that are kind of starting to open up in that area, which is not what you would think about Southern Michigan. But yeah, it's an awesome place, and that's where I worked at, and it was awesome. I actually got to live my dream or fantasy job of being a bartender for a little bit. Like fun. I don't know if you guys were kids and you would have like these weird fantasy jobs where it's like you weren't exactly passionate about it, or you didn't think it would be much of a career, but you just liked the idea of being like a film projectionist or a storm chaser. You chase tornadoes. One of mine was bartender.
Okay.
And so I got to be a bartender at this place. And
how were you as a bartender?
I thought I kicked ass. most of the time you were just serving because it's like a cider distillery and they have a huge outdoor space.
Yeah.
Most of the time you're serving for like bachelorette parties. They're just really drunk and she's like, what's your name? It's like Adam. It's like, we're gonna be best friends. Okay, and then you never see them again.
Of course, yeah.
But
That's the way.
but it was kind of a lot of fun. It's nice to, I don't know, there's certain service industry jobs that I don't know, kind of, I don't know, just tickle me right. And I think being a bartender was one of those.
Gotcha.
Definitely more than being a prep cook in a Southern style restaurant.
Whoa, okay, yeah. The only like restaurant stuff I did was like Boyz In, and it was like at a very like small restaurant in Illinois. So it wasn't anything that like was like super demanding, and it was kind of I didn't hate it because it was like I was like in high school. I didn't have to like really give a shit.
I've heard front of house working in service industry is a lot of fun. I've only ever worked back of house as a cook, and it's fun just to like learn how to do that shit.
Yeah.
But when you're just like making the same recipe over and over again, you have no human interaction outside of that.
Terrible.
It can be a little like, I'm sure busing or being a server is a lot of fun.
Do you try like because you were a cook obviously? Do you do a lot of cooking now in your?
I try to, especially I'm kind of on a self-proclaimed health grind, so I'm trying to learn how to cook more often. Like my mom got me this Filipino cookbook recipe. I'm trying to do like one recipe a week to see if I can. And you know, when you live in LA, there's literally a grocery store for every single type of genre of food.
Absolutely.
So this is a place to do that if you want to explore different stuff. But admittedly, I am not a good cook. So it's usually just like
you're probably me. Probably
it's usually just I'm creating a genocide of different flavors that I know I like and hoping it turns out right in the end.
I mean, as I think two white people, that's pretty on brand for us.
We're all about the genocide.
Exactly, man. That's what we do. What was the last thing that you cooked?
I made a corn souffle for a friend's birthday, and then I made some avocado toast. Yeah, it was just like it was my my friend's birthday last weekend in Big Bear, and so we did a little cooking and stuff.
Were you guys like camping or
no?
That was a hard no to camping.
Well, the person's birthday was like, not to call her out, but she is not very outdoorsy. So, but she loves like going like to cabins and stuff. So
it's
we
like
got a big cabin in Big Bear.
The glamping,
like, basically.
The tentative, like I enjoy the nature, but not like nature.
I enjoy nature, but stay away from me. I need my fucking AC.
But
man.
let's make sure that water is purified and clean.
Exactly.
So, as an editor, how did you get started? Because this is something that I was really curious, to me at least, is like what were the things that like kind of drew you on this path to being a film person out here?
Well, I always knew I wanted to get into film once I kind of discovered that was a career you could do, because I always made like little films in my backyard as like a middle schooler and stuff like that. I always loved the process, but my favorite part to get to was always the editing, because that's when you kind of see everything be put together. And I feel like it just works for like, I love the creativity and storytelling part of it. So at first I thought I wanted to be a writer because I'm really obsessed with like that part of filmmaking. But then I also like that it's kind of like a puzzle piece where you never use all the puzzle pieces. Yeah. You only use like 10% or 5% of the puzzle pieces you get. And you can really make any picture you want out of those pieces. And I think that idea of just blend of technicality and storytelling is really great. I'm also just like a huge introvert, so I love just like being in a small black box by myself for hours on end. It's perfect for me.
It's super comfy. And I mean, what do you think drew you specifically to like, not like excluding like color grading, visual effects, all that stuff? What about like just actually being in the cutting room was like more?
Yeah, I think it really was that storytelling part of it. Let's say like storytelling is part of every single process, like costume design, color, even. In more people ways most people don't even think about. But for just seeing a performance come together, or seeing how you can like build a narrative, build an emotional arc, and way you combine different shots. It worked. It just felt so satisfying. It just felt so great to see something come to life that way. Yeah. And it was the one where I felt naturally the best at in terms of all the different processes, but also just felt like the one that I felt the most satisfied by doing. It was the one that like I would do in my own free time. Like I write and like I try to direct some small stuff by myself, but I'm always like editing or re-editing. Like one of my favorite things to do is I'll illegally download. Sorry.
All right. Hey, we don't condone any of this on the couch.
I wouldn't download a car, would you?
Yeah.
But yeah, I would download movies and I would bring them onto Premiere or Avid, and I would put a cut every time there's an actual cut in the movie, just to see like
how it
can, and then you just kind of learn more about editing that way. But it's just kind of fun to see like get in the minds of the people that like edited Nope or Barbarian or like two of the films I'm doing right now.
To visualize that.
Yeah, it's so cool. And you learn like little secrets about like storytelling that's just kind of, I don't know, just it's a really creatively satisfying gig if you love storytelling, but you also love just like the technical puzzle solving aspect of it. Yeah, because it's like the difference between editing and writing is like writing is you're creating a story, and then editing is all about presenting story. So I think that presenting story is the thing that really drew me to it. I think long story short more than anything else.
What kind of stories are you like drawn to telling if you had like your perfect project like dumped in front of you?
That's tough because I like to think, and maybe this is a bad thing, I like to think I am into almost every genre. Like over like the past couple of days I watched like Seven Samurai, and then I watched like Joker 2, and then last weekend I watched back to back with my friends the two Mamma Mia films.
Oh wow.
So if you want to take like three films
that's a range.
Three films that are like completely different from one another. So yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is if I like the people I'm working with, and if I think the story's good, or if I'm interested in the story. Because like the story of like Mamma Mia and Seven Samurai, two very different films, but both of them are just pretty good in their own ways.
Yeah.
I can't believe I just compared Mamma Mia to Seven Samurai.
I mean, I think the amount of film bros right now who are just like face palming.
Exactly. But like, you know, if like I would have loved to have edited something like Notting Hill as much as I would have loved to have edited something like Whiplash or like Monster, the Hirozaku Kurita film from Japan. So I'm all about art house. I'm all about kind of everything. It's just as long as like I think the filmmakers are passionate about it and they're, you know, trying to tell something really interesting, then, you know, why not?
And I feel like that's such a important skill to have, because if you're so focused on like any project that's put in front of you is something that you can connect with, because it's just figuring out those things that are, you know, those beats and stuff like that. Yeah,
exactly. And I think there's a good balance to understanding like your own taste and what you like and don't like, but also to a comfortable degree, making yourself watch things you never thought you might like. And I say comfortable degree because I used to be like, anyway, everyone should watch literally everything. But, you know, there are some people that literally a genre or type of film just isn't for them. Like not everyone should watch like 120 Days of Solo or Cannibal Holocaust or stuff like that.
That's a little much for some people.
Yeah, and like, you know, even though Woody Allen and Roman Polanski are great filmmakers, if you're really sensitive or like upset by what they did outside of it, you really don't need to watch their films if you don't want to. But I do think it's good for filmmakers to try and immerse themselves in like any corner they comfortably can, because that kind of grows them as filmmakers, but also makes you appreciate all the different types of films that have come out, all the different genres. And I think through that and through doing that, it really made me appreciate all the different genres or types of filmmaking there are in world cinema. And so that's why I think I like the idea of like doing different genres. Like I'll do a rom-com, or I'll do like a anti-war art house film. Like it's they're all creatively fulfilling in their own weird way.
As a like someone who is such an appreciator of like films and stuff like that, like how many do you think that you watch in a given week?
I try to watch a film a day, but
Really?
I'm not always good, because sometimes life takes over and like you don't really have time. But right now I'm definitely trying to. Like my friend Jake and I were doing our October marathon where we're watching one horror film every day for the month of October. So we're gonna try and watch 31 horror movies a day. Right now I think I'm even though we're on like October 5th, I think I'm at 7 movies because I watched a couple horror movies, but then we had to go and watch The Joker 2, which kind of is a horror movie in like ways that it didn't intend to be, because it's so goddamn bad.
The production.
Yeah, and then
how was Lady Gaga? That's what I want to know.
She was fine.
Okay.
It was like, you know, she has that quote where she says, I had to unlearn everything I knew about singing for this role. And I was like, maybe you shouldn't have.
Yeah, maybe we stick to where we're good.
You know what's crazy? That movie, and sorry if anyone likes this film. This is just my opinion. Like, if you like this film, that's totally fine. Josh Menon, one of my best friends, he loves that film. So I'm not going to try to yuck your yum. But it was really boring. It was so boring. And
the original or the second?
The second one.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't like the original, even though I know a lot of people like it. For whatever reason, I didn't like the first one. But at least the first one wasn't boring. This one was bad, but it was also bad boring. Like, there are some bad films where they're so bad, I can still kind of like, I don't know, enjoy myself to a certain degree. Like, you know, a so bad that's good type movie.
Yeah.
Like, but this was, 30 minutes in, I was just like, I wish I was literally doing anything else. It was so bad. I think, I don't know. It's just, I don't know what he was thinking. Also, it's like, if you're any sort of DC Batman fan, this is not going to appeal to you because it's literally nothing like any of those characters. And also, like, do you care if I spoil the ending of it?
Go for it. Spoiler alert
for Joker 2.
Yeah.
The ending of Joker 2 is that the actual Joker stabs Arthur Fleck and then assumes his persona, which basically implies that Arthur Fleck wasn't the actual Joker. He
the entire first movie meant
nothing. So the actual Joker was just inspired by him, which makes the actual Joker character even worse, because then it's like you based
some fucking guy.
It's some guy that you based your whole personality off of some loser, and from the first movie, like it's
like, dude, get a job.
It just wasn't good, and and just I don't know why Todd Phillips wanted to make this film. I know he wanted to make the first one because he wanted to make King of Comedy, but
so
do something different.
This is just a means to an end.
Yeah, but you know, whatever. It wasn't the worst film I'd ever seen, but I was really disappointed.
Yumi's trying to bite me.
Audio listeners, Yumi is
she is
silly little crazy goose right now.
She sometimes gets into moods where she just is upset and doesn't feel social, but then also wants to be social.
But whatever, screw bad movies. What are some good movies? What are your favorite movies from this year so far?
Ooh, what year is it? I think I know I've probably talked about it too many times already on this show, but I think probably my favorite movie this year that I've seen has been Dune 2.
Dune Part 2, that's a good one.
It's so good.
Denis Villeneuve, man, he's got the sauce.
I watched the first one and then it kind of got me hooked on the rest of the series, and so then I ended up reading all the books and all that shit.
Did you know if Nick has seen Dune? Because I remember last time I talked to him, I was like, "Have you seen Dune Part 2?" He's like, "No, have you seen the first one?" "No, I haven't." I'm like, "What are you doing, man?"
I don't know if he has yet. I know it's one of those things where it's like,
as much as I love that dude's like taste in films, I love talking about films with that guy. That is a guy who just sleeps on a lot of films.
Dude, I know I definitely do. There's like the amount of films that I feel like I haven't seen. So many.
Oh, really? I even someone like me who feel like I've seen a lot of films, I'll still go on like my letterbox and I'll like go through like films I haven't seen. It's like, you haven't seen Pan's Labyrinth or either Suspiria's? It's like, fuck, there's a lot of movies.
I have seen Pan's Labyrinth. That one I did see.
I've heard that's amazing.
It's a pretty good film.
I haven't seen Gone with the Wind yet.
I haven't seen that one either.
I haven't seen Metropolis, even though I'm sure that's amazing.
I might have watched parts of it.
There's a lot of stuff I haven't seen.
I don't know. I feel like for me at least, it's like with work and like all that stuff, it's like there's so many things always going on. I feel like I never have time, because when I watch a film, I want to be able to like actually sit down and give it all my attention. But I feel like too often I'm like, I gotta do these edits, I gotta do this like social media thing, I gotta send an email, I gotta check my emails, I gotta pay rent and all this other like bullshit stuff and love life. And especially working long hours, it can be
so much art in the world, but not enough time to watch it all.
Yeah, exactly. I want to be able to enjoy it. It's hard sometimes.
That's why this is horrible. I don't actually mean this, but sometimes I miss the pandemic because that was the time where I watched the most movies.
Are you kidding me? I miss the pandemic so much. I was just talking. Who was I talking to? I was talking to Avi the other day. I think literally about this. And I was like, wasn't it like fucking... No, I was talking to Nate. I was like, wasn't it fucking great when we were all unemployed and we could all just like hang out together and not do anything? Because there was just no work.
Dude, I watched 3 movies a day during that quarantine in Chicago. And I went through every single Hitchcock film, every single Howard Hawks film.
Exactly. It was just so much time. Yeah. And if you were like living with people, you could just shoot the shit. And like, you're like, maybe I will have a beer at like noon for no reason. Like...
Well, the rest of the world is on fire.
Yeah, exactly. It's not your problem anymore.
Yeah, 1.5 million people died in the U.S., but hey, I caught up on some Hitchcock films.
You have to see some really good films. Hey, yeah, I mean, we are in October in an election year, so careful what you wish for.
True.
Anything could happen.
Who are you voting for, by the way?
Who do you think? Who do you think?
I love asking that question to people.
Like, it's up in the air. I think that's what's so funny is I remember watching, because the VP debate just like happened at the time we're filming this, and I remember just talking to one of my coworkers about it, and she was like, yeah, but like, why does anyone watch it? Because like everyone already knows who they're gonna fucking vote for. It doesn't matter at all.
That is true. I wonder how many people are actually like, well, hold on, let me see what they have to say.
I don't know. Let's see about these guys who probably aren't going to be doing much in the administration.
Yeah, it feels like we're kind of living in a sci-fi film right now.
We totally are.
You know what?
But, you know, we got beer, we got a couch.
We got beer, we got cat, life is good.
What are your like interests? Like if you had to pick one weird niche interest that you have outside of film, what would you say it is?
Outside of film.
Yeah.
Damn, that makes me sound like a loser because literally all my interests are surrounded by movies. But
hey.
Well, before I became a filmmaker, I actually was a visual artist.
Okay.
So probably painting and drawing.
Got it.
Just because I was originally going to go to art school because I was kind of following my dad's footsteps in a way. Because he's also a visual artist. He's a professional illustrator.
Wow.
And so I was just like, okay, I learned how to paint through high school. I'm going to go to Savannah College of Art and Design, whatever, or some art school.
Yeah.
And then it was right around right as I was about to graduate high school, I'm just like, yeah, I just kind of took a detour and decided, you know what, film is kind of the place for me to be.
Yeah.
So probably that, because I still do that a lot. Like, another thing with October, for anyone who does like visual art, there's something called Inktober.
Inktober?
Yeah, there's this account on Instagram. They also have a website where every day in October, they'll give you like a weird prompt or word to do like a entire ink sketch or painting based off of that word.
Got it.
Like I think yesterday's was aviation. So just do whatever you want to do with that word.
Planes,
and take with
flying, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like that, or if you want to do like a bird or just some articulation of the sky. So yeah, stuff like that.
So how often do you end up like painting or drawing?
I paint probably like once or twice a week, but I sketch almost every day. Like I have a sketchbook on me, like on my backpack, where I'm just like bored. I'll just take out like an ink pen or like a G2 pen if I'm feeling lazy.
I don't even know what that means.
I'm being a little pretentious boy over here, yeah, just stuff like that.
Got it. What do you have like a work of art that's your favorite?
Work of art that's my favorite
that you've made?
Yeah, I think I did this just based off of size. I think it was my favorite. I did this 7 foot by 6 foot painting of like of a woman. It's like of this painting. It's like it's nothing actually like that visually like in context compelling, because it's literally just a woman smoking outside in an alley. But it was like my first attempt at hyperrealism painting, and I think just I don't know, there's something really cinematic about the way it turned out that I'm really happy with it. That's cool. So I don't know, just like, and I think the fact that it was so fucking big, I'm just like, yeah, it took me a long time, and it's like it's nice when you work on a long project and you see the end result and you're kind of happy with the journey of going through that.
Where is it now?
Kind of like filmmaking. It's in Michigan at my parents' house. There's no way I could like move that out here.
We'll get it like mailed to you.
Honestly, yeah. Like once things pick back up in the film industry, I'm hoping to like as a hobby like try to see if I can set up like a gallery somewhere in LA for
so
some of my
cool.
stuff. Like
Yeah.
just to get back in that habit, because I do miss kind of like working on visual 2D art as like a part-time profession. So I kind of want to get back into that a little bit.
Do you have like your work posted anyplace online that people can?
No, I really
at?
should.
Yeah,
I'm
you
not,
should.
I really should. I'm not a very social media person, which I don't have an Instagram. I don't have a Twitter or anything.
Yeah.
But I feel if I want to actually do that, I should probably set up an Instagram and get cracking on that.
Yeah, are you kidding me?
But
I would love to look at that
despite
stuff.
working social media marketing for that brewery, I don't have
the
any.
rest of it completely illiterate.
literally. So yeah, maybe one day. But yeah, I don't know about you. I've just never been good at social media. I think it's because when I grew up like in a hospital because I had like this illness when I was a kid, so I didn't really like go to like an actual school until I was like in middle school, like late grade school.
Damn, wow.
And through that, I never really had any reasons to like get a social media just because I didn't like know that many people growing up.
Yeah.
I feel like social media, like a big part of it is just connecting with your community. And it wasn't until college where I actually like had like a large group of friends. It was like, okay, now I have a reason to get social media or Snapchat or Twitter. And then I finally got it. I think because I didn't grow up with it, I was just like, this is the most exhausting shit in the world.
Exactly.
And so I didn't want to, I hated it. I didn't want to go with it. So then I just haven't had it since. But probably wouldn't hurt to maybe get an Instagram.
No, I mean, I would love to like see your work and stuff like that. I mean, seriously.
Thank you.
I'm always curious and looking to like see new art and all that fun stuff. And I try to expose myself to as much as possible.
But also like there's not being on social media. There's so many times when you're with a group of friends and they're just like talking about like something on TikTok trends and you're just like, fuck, I have no entry in this conversation.
Look, as someone who does have social media, but is like also pretty unaware of what's going on. Like I try to, I focus on my work and I'm like, I got to post stuff at some point. I got to post stuff for the podcast and then that's about it. And then I tune the rest of it out more or less, unfortunately.
No, I had a moment last night where I was with friends and they were all sharing each other TikToks and I've never felt more alone.
Oh, it's terrible. What have we come to that's where that's what we do now?
Whatever.
We just sit around and talk about things on our phones.
I had a question for you.
Yeah.
What are your favorite films and what are your least favorite films?
I would say my favorite film of like all time.
Oh, number one. Okay.
Boogie Nights.
Hell yeah.
I remember I watched that. I was exposed to that one in high school from a film teacher. And I remember watching that and I was like, holy shit, I get it. And I don't really know if I have any like least favorite films. I'll admit it. Like, I don't know if there's like any that like stick out to me being like, that was a waste of time. Or I mean, if they are out there, it's just that it's like, I didn't finish it or I was like watching it on like a streaming service or something like that. And I just kind of like turned it off because I'm like, this isn't fucking going anywhere.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I mean, I think the other thing too is like, that's always so, for me at least personally, how I think about it is like, even like the worst film, it's like the amount of money that went into like the production design and like the camera work and the cinematography and it's like the writing and all that stuff. And it's like, even if it's the worst thing in the world, it's like someone really wanted this to be a thing and put a lot of time and energy into trying to make this a thing. And at a very, even if it's like, basically something that someone filmed on their like flip phone from like 2008 or something, I can still find a little bit of like a, someone really wanted this to be a thing and someone really cared about it.
As long as like, at least like you feel like one department had some sort of passion in this project, there's a reason to like find some enjoyment in some aspect of the movie. You don't have to actually explicitly enjoy the film, but if you watch, I don't know, like was Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania? Is that what that film is?
I don't know. I don't.
It's the third Ant-Man movie. It's like notoriously just so bad, but you can tell like some of the VFX artists kind of had a good time making it. So it's like, okay, well, there's that at least.
I mean, especially like I know that's always been the biggest criticism with like Marvel and stuff like that it's mostly spectacle at that point. There is something to be said being like, look, someone fucking went off with these renders, man.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
What are your favorite and least favorite movies of all time?
I always talk about Hitchcock, so I think he is my favorite, just because I love that old little fucker. Yeah, I think he's such
a weird old little fuck.
He is a weird old little fuck, seriously. And there's a lot of things that are like problematic with that guy. Like one of my favorite like examples of him being kind of a loser is during the film Lifeboat. This one of the actors or actresses that was on the film, she asked Hitch what her good side was, referring to her face. Yeah. And Hitch just leans over to her and she's like, "You're sitting on it." Jesus. He's not a good person.
Yeah.
But his films, there's just something about them that are so great. And I watched all the films like while reading that one book, Hitchcock, Truffaut.
Yeah, I think I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that French filmmaker Truffaut interviewing Hitchcock and going through every single one of his films, talking about why they're good or why they're bad. And it was just kind of like a great turning point in my like understanding of film or my appreciation of some films and like how to think about it. Because it's literally like two very different filmmakers. Truffaut being a French New Wave art house goon, and Hitchcock being this like West like UK American golden age Western cinema freak. And just like totally different ideas, philosophies on films, but the way they talk about it together and coming together and having a mutual understanding of cinema really shaped the way I look at films. So I think Hitchcock was he's probably my favorite filmmaker.
Cool. Yeah.
Like, I think once I get tattoos, I'm going to do like one of those little silhouettes of his fat little face.
He's going to be like probably down in hell looking up being like, what the fuck?
This fucking white boy.
Again? Another one?
Another one.
What's your least favorite then?
My least favorite, I think it's similar to you. I don't have a least favorite. God, what's a film that actually? Hold on, let me pull up Letterboxd.
Pull her up.
Let me pull up Letterboxd.
We're checking the receipts on Beer Couch here.
Do you have a Letterboxd, by the way?
I actually don't. I feel like I should at this point.
Let's see. Films. Yeah. This is the only social media that I care about is Letterboxd. That's gonna tell you how much of a loser I am.
He goes outside.
I go out sometimes.
He sees so much sun.
Let's see. Your rating, lowest first.
Let's see.
My lowest rated film is
drumroll.
I mean, a lot of the obvious ones are just like so bad that they're like Birdemic or The Room or Killer Bean Forever.
Yeah.
But then I also got like the most popular 1-star film I rated is like Free Guy or Madam Web or Grown Ups, like films like that.
Got it. So it's just like those kind of like cookie cutter corporate.
Well, just like films where they feel more like a product than they are a piece of art, but also it feels like everyone who was working on it was just there to make a paycheck and to not make like something that they might enjoy.
Yeah.
But you know, this, like I said, there's even still things kind of to enjoy. Like I had such a blast getting drunk and watching Madam Web with my roommates. Like it's,
I feel like it was everyone kind of came together to collectively
hate on that movie
and hate that. Yeah,
that movie is so fucking unhinged. And I don't know if you know like the beef with what's the name of the lead?
I know. Yeah, I know that there was her and her like co-star or something like that. Or wait, no, she just like fully was like admitted it was bad and was like, whatever.
Dakota Johnson, she originally signed on the project because her agent, apparently this is just something I've heard.
This is rumor, this isn't quote.
This isn't quote.
We love you, Dakota Johnson.
Just in case you're watching.
Yeah, she is. They're all watching.
Dakota Johnson apparently got on the project because her agent lied to her said that it was an MCU film and not a Sony Marvel film. And so she thought
is a big difference.
Yeah, because Marvel Cinematic Universe is very different from the Sony Marvel films. Yeah. So she thought she was gonna like, you know, be part of the Avengers maybe one day or something. Which is like being an MCU film is like it boosts your career a lot if you're an actor.
Yeah,
like it really helps.
A shit ton of money from that.
Yeah, a lot of the actors that went on to the MCU, they've gone on to do a lot of big stuff in their career because of their roles. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. got an Oscar for Oppenheimer.
He came back, I think, into his career because of it.
Yeah, I don't think he would have been in the place he is,
made that bounce back,
if he wasn't Iron Man. But notoriously, if you're in a Sony Marvel movie, it's kind of the opposite, and it does horrible things for your career.
Oh, shit.
And I think Dakota Johnson's agent knew this, but she also knew that she'd get a lot of money if she got Dakota Johnson on this. And so right on week one, as they start filming, Dakota Johnson realizes it was a Sony Marvel film, fired her agent, but then realized she was contractually obligated to finish this project. So you can tell throughout this whole movie that she does not want to be there at all. So it is so cringe and horrible to watch because you feel bad, but it's also just, it's such a funny movie.
I gotta watch this.
So much in the movie is ADR, and like it's kind of hilarious because she wears a leather jacket the whole movie, and then at one point it cuts to her in the Amazon still wearing that leather jacket. And it's just like, what are you doing? It's
terrible.
It's terrible. It's kind of hilarious. So like, yeah, it's like one of my lowest rated films, but even then, there's something to still
There's something there.
There's something to enjoy the film, even if it's nothing that like was purposeful by the filmmakers. But yeah,
shit. All right. Well, hey, I finished my beer, so I gotta say thanks, Adam, for coming on the podcast, talking films and careers and all that fun stuff. And to anyone still watching, thank you for watching all the way to the end. And make sure you like, follow, subscribe, do all that YouTube and Instagram and Spotify stuff. And we'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.
Thank you for having me. Cheers.